The Supreme Court just issued a ruling in a Colorado case where a therapist, who is Christian, wanted to continue abusing young people with conversion therapy on religious grounds after it had been banned in the state of Colorado. The Supreme Court said it was a matter of free speech protected by the First Amendment. I think that's a pretty liberal interpretation of free speech, considering that past Supreme Courts have made it clear that you can't just yell fire in a crowded theater. There are limits that can be applied to free speech when innocent parties could be put in danger as a result. Conversion therapy absolutely puts innocent people in danger. Conversion therapy is child abuse. I say child abuse qualifies as putting innocent parties in danger. Now, I can make that claim with some confidence because I'm a survivor of conversion therapy myself. And you would know that if you had read my book, Searching for St Germaine by GL Franklyn, available to order now everywhere books are sold, links in the description. In my case, that conversion therapy began over 60 years ago before we even had a name for it. That therapeutic abuse was intense. It was constant 24/7, 365 indoctrination, and it was pervasive. I'm going to read you an excerpt from Searching for St. Germaine by GL Franklyn, available now wherever books are sold, about my memory of what that abuse was like. Read from book. Oh, that wasn't for you, that was for me. Okay. As luck or Mrs. Herzog's skill would have it, Boys Town did say yes. I was to board a plane to fly off to Omaha, where I would be met by someone from Boys Town to begin my new life. It was the first time I had ever flown, and the romance and excitement of the flight kept any feelings of loneliness and abandonment at bay. For the time being, that would have to wait. I was just too excited. It's probably important to interject here that it's 1966 and I'm 14 at this point. My hormones are beginning to rage just like anyone else at that age. I had already had sexual encounters, including an abusive relationship with an older boy. It's gradually becoming clear that I like boys, but I'm not allowed to because I'm a Catholic. These priests, brothers, and nuns were my parents, for heaven's sake. When I would try to talk to any of them about what was happening inside me, the response would always be the same, as if it were written in a protocol manual that they were all reading from. There's something wrong with you. You have to stop this. Your only option is to pray the gay away. It's no wonder the gay people feel so alone when you can see where the problem is. This might be a good time to take a break and talk about the internal struggle that gay people go through growing up. Gay people are no different than straight people when it comes to biology. Hormones will rage at that age, and if everything you've ever been taught says that you're not allowed to do anything about it except pray and blame yourself, it doesn't take much to figure out that there's going to be some internal turmoil. Your biology, your mind, and your spirit are all pulling at you in different directions, and it's constant. It just goes on, and it never stops. You get moments now and then when you feel calm for an hour or so, but mostly it never stops. It's relentless, day after day and night after night, always thinking, always thrashing, always praying, always fighting against yourself, always so vigilant and so careful to make sure nobody finds out while you sneak a peek at that compellingly beautiful classmate and then beat yourself up about it, thinking that you're trash for even thinking it. And heaven forbid that you should get caught looking by the object of your desire, or anyone else for that matter. It would mean that you might get a sound ass whooping to top off your deep shame. That's what I mean when I tell you that my high school years were fraught with anxiety and restraint. I think most people would call that torture. At Boys Town, it was assumed that everyone was straight, and the staff treated us accordingly. At the time, the Catholic Church did not recognize homosexuality as a thing that someone could be. To the church, a gay person was a heterosexual that was morally weak, and we were taught to struggle against these sinful urges, even though they happened to all human beings at that age. They called it unnatural. They called it perverse. And if we failed to stop it from happening, then there was something wrong with us. We were lacking in strength. We were morally weak. It was our own fault because we weren't making the cut to be worthy in the eyes of God. Being a good Catholic boy and having the Catholic Church as my parents, I assumed that they were correct. And so that's how I treated my perversion, my sickness. I was doing my best to play the role of being straight, but I was understandably pretty bad at it. Everything in my world was resolute that there was something wrong with me and that it was no little thing. Of course, there was something wrong with me, and it was no little thing, but it had precious little to do with the fact that I was gay. Little did I know that well-intentioned, or as they may or may not have been, my parents had been unintentionally abusing me this whole time and were continuing to do so, and with my cooperation, no less. Surely they didn't know that they were hurting me. The psychological community is pretty much of one mind about the damage that conversion therapy does. For instance, people who have been through conversion therapy are 3 times more likely to attempt to off themselves as their contemporaries are. That matters. It matters because I'm one of them. I mean, that I'm gay and I have survived conversion therapy. I'm one of those people that Catholicism tried to turn into someone else. I say that conversion therapy is abuse, and the general consensus of the psychological community is that I'm right about that. To the Supreme Court, I can only say, you got it wrong this time, folks. You got it wrong. Overturning a state ban on conversion therapy is very much like allowing people to yell fire in a crowded theater. Just because conversion therapy endangers innocent people one at a time instead of as a group doesn't mean that the danger to those individuals suddenly disappears. The damage is still being done. Conversion therapy, particularly Christian motivated conversion therapy, isn't free speech. It's child abuse. Full stop. And with that, I'm GL Franklyn for The View from Out Here. Much love.